In my junior and senior years of high school, I worked as a teaching assistant for a 5th grade English class that lasted an hour and a half each day. Teaching can be a repetitive process, but in my experience, there's always something new that happens every day. Regardless, some teachers can become frustrated with or bored with their job. Richmond's teacher burnout scale tests exactly that, how frustrated or bored a teacher is with their job. It consists of 20 questions, and you can score anywhere from a 20 to a 100. Anything less than 36 is low burnout. Anything from 36 to 55 is strong but not serious yet. Anywhere from 56 to 70 is substantial and help is suggested. And anything greater than or equal to 71 indicates severe teacher burnout. The article that I found that uses this scale is actually Michigan-based and was done by Schakowsky. She studied the effects of teaching students with traumatic experiences on teacher burnout. She tested 155 teachers from 3 different school districts, and it's worthy to note that 128 of these subjects were female. So, by and large, the average participant in this study was a Caucasian female teacher. Now, she used an adapted version of Richmond's teacher burnout scale, and she found that 107 of the participants had low teacher burnout, 36 had moderate, and 12 had high. And teaching students with trauma wasn't found to be directly correlated to these scores. But only 4 of these teachers had never taught students with traumatic experiences in their entire career. So Schakowsky said that she couldn't really say whether this was a significant non-correlation or not, because the sample size that hadn't taught students with traumatic experiences was so low that she couldn't make any sort of conclusions on that front. She did find that in the past year, 78% of the teachers had taught students with traumatic experiences. The average number of students that they had taught in the past year was 11, with a standard deviation of 5. But over their career, the 97.3% of teachers who had taught students with traumatic experiences, their average number of students were 58, with a standard deviation of 20. And that's a lot of students to teach with traumatic experiences. So while she couldn't draw conclusions on whether or not teaching these students would affect teacher burnout, she can see that there are a lot of students with traumatic experiences in schools, and it's much more likely for a teacher to have taught some than not. She also tested their secondary traumatic stress from teaching these students. And 22% of the teachers had no secondary traumatic stress, 28.1% had mild, 14.3% were moderate, 16.9% were high, and 18.3% of these teachers had severe secondary traumatic stress. The number of traumatic students that the teacher taught was not correlated to the teacher burnout. The secondary traumatic stress was also not correlated to the number of traumatic students that somebody taught. But the secondary traumatic stress was correlated to the amount of teacher burnout in the teachers who had taught traumatic students. And she also asked them what measures were in place at their school to assist these students. And 19% of them said there were none. And to give you some direct quotes from these teachers, the district tries to help, but most of the work is on the teacher. And teachers do not have the proper training to assist these students, and the school district cut human services support, which has harmed our students, families, and educational institutions. So if this study and this scale have taught us anything, it's that instead of just looking at teacher burnout, we should look at what might be causing that and what the school district is actually doing to help.